Hey guys, today's Saturday, January the 7th of 2023, and I want to go over the markets I follow using energy and metals and international and the dollar using the simple glance market recap system. So without any further delay, let's get into it. This is the Nifty 50 chart, and as you can see right here, volume was very, very negative last week. We have a daily cycle that just peaked January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th right here. I have it highlighted. We just fell out of the supply zone, and this could be a possible wave 5, meaning that there could be an A, B, C correction coming if it plays out, and if this is a wave 5. So far, I have it indicated as a wave 5. So we got the daily, we got the weekly chart over here that it's been down, and now the daily cycle has just turned down. Interesting to know is that on January, the Nifty 50 is very weak. So be cautious if we start, selling lower, making, lower a lot of lows and lower highs and continues going down. Although positive, we have still a buy signal, but on the daily, it's a sell signal. And we have a MACD crossover. And we are below the 1x2. So those are the kind of things you got to keep on the back of your mind or on the radar and just kind of gauge it every day. This is the daily. You can see that we're below the 1x2. Kind of fell off the supply zone. And we're finding support at this pivot here. So it'll be interesting to see if we could hold this and test this angle, the 1x2, and even this trend line that pivots from here to here. If it could get above it, find support and go up, it could retest that high. But if it fails here or fails there, chances are that it could push lower. So that's that on the Nifty 50. Let's go to the energy. This is the monthly chart, and you can see that we're inside candle on the monthly. The only one that's really super negative is natural gas. If you go to the weekly, you got a bear kicker on most of these, but natural gas is even uglier. And on the daily, you can see that it found some support, and now, some buyers are coming in, but I don't know how long that's going to last, but I figure I'd just let you know. And natural gas still remains the weakest. Let's go and start with uranium futures. You can see that we've been still in the accumulation distribution phase. We got this little trend line here. And it's just kind of oscillating back and forth. It'll probably create a new one, and then you got to put a new trend line. But it's just kind of going sideways here. So we're waiting for it for either a breakout, continue going sideways, or a big, dump. Those are the three things that could happen. And so far, it hasn't done any. So it's just kind of like stagnant. This is the weekly chart. If we go to the daily chart, you can see that it's kind of finding some Momo. MACD got positive here. When I mean Momo, it's just light. This is a dinosaur. It moves very slow, but it's grinding to this trend line. So if it's going to go up right here, this is going to be 49.40. It'll turn positive again, like it's been doing here, and here, and then it goes negative. So it's just oscillating. But once it finds some Momo, it's going to have to test this trend line, and then it's going to have to break it, and then get out of the accumulation distribution phase and hopefully get a breakout. But if that doesn't play out, it's going to continue going sideways, or could test this low or maybe push lower. So keep an eye on that on the uranium's future. The dollar, I'm long the dollar, doing some calculations. I want to see if this is going to play out. But the December 30th swing low, according to my calculations, and if they are correct, I think that's going to hold. But if it doesn't hold, then my calculations have flaws in it, and I need to tweak it more. Positive MACD. Tom D mark was all the way down here, and we just kind of, oscillated here back and forth. Some report came out last week and, nailed the dollar back down. Resistance level right here. But I think, and we're chopping around the 50 on the weekly. On the daily, you can see the trend is like positive. Short term, got a PPS buy signal. You got the point of control at maybe 104.38 and just kind of oscillating there. But my stop is right down there. So if I'm wrong, I'm going to get stopped out and take a loss. But, and then the MACD here is like negative as of right now. So we'll see. We'll see how next week closes. But if it closes higher, that's a good thing. If it goes below this low, then I'm going to be stopped out for a loss. Let's go with the energy. Crude. You can see that it's oscillating at the point of control, which is 73.88. Still has the value area, not the value area low, like it's a pivot low. Value area low is already around 61.65 and the 200, but you're below the 200, the 20, the 50, and it's still kind of negative. You can see the trend is still down, although the MACD is positive, but last week's volume was very ugly. And the MACD is negative. Friday volume was negative, and you can see we have a PPS sell signal. And it's finding support at the S1 Woody's pivot, so it's kind of right there. Let's see how if we're going to hold here, go up, or it's going to push lower to test that 70.08. Let's go to natural gas. This is the ugliest chart. Finding support at the value area low at 358. Also the 200 SMA on the weekly. MACD is negative. Last week's candle is negative. Very negative. Just pressure to the downside. Look at the daily. There's nothing else to talk about. I mean, Woody's pivot goes all the way down to 297. So I don't even know. It could get down there. And you got this linear regression channel here. So short term, midterm, negative. The only thing positive here is that this MACD just got positive, but everything else is negative. I wouldn't touch it. Heating oil, kind of same thing, kind of stagnant, just kind of going sideways. Friday's volume was positive, but everything else is pretty much negative, finding support at the S2. But everything is pretty much negative on this chart. Above the 100, above the 200, but still looking like it wants to go lower. RBOB, interesting, got a PPS buy signal on the weekly, pulled back. So this technique will tell you when it has a PPS buy signal, you buy it on the next week and put your stop under there. Point of control is at 219, value 200 SMAs down there. MACD is positive, but last week volume was negative. Friday was negative. MACD sell off on the daily. And could this be an A, B or 1, 2, and then go up? I don't know. We'll see. But so far, short term and midterm, very negative. And it took out the value area low. So that's pretty much negative. Although finding support at the 20 SMA on the weekly, on the daily chart. Brent, kind of the same thing. It's a mirror of crude, so I'm not going to waste too much time there. Let's go metals. Let's look at metals real quick before we end this video. You can see on the monthly, very strong. I'm short metals, so I want to see. It's almost getting to my stop, but we'll see. Let's see how the price on the dollar goes next week. But I'm short on the metals and some of the currencies, the ones that go against the dollar. But you can see that it got a nice little bump here. Gold more than silver is there. Platinum is pretty good. Copper is kind of stagnant, and palladium is the weakest. And you can see on the weekly, you got this nice bump here. Silver still like struggling. Platinum is good. Palladium is weak, and copper is just kind of consolidating, just sideways. Not really that much action. This is the daily. That was that report that came out. Silver got a bump, but not as strong as gold and platinum. Palladium still, consolidating here, and you can see copper got a nice little bump but if you look at the weekly on copper, it's just kind of a big consolidation thing here. Pattern. So let's look at this real quick before we end this video. You can see we got a Tom D. Mark knife candle weekly. Here you got the linear regression channel. You got resistance up here. All this level right here is 1878. Got my stop pretty much just above that. So if I get stopped out, then it's a loss. It's a trade But last week's volume was good. MACD is positive. Everything here is positive, and everything is positive here, although you're hitting the value area high, which is at 1864 right here. So it'll be interesting if we could close above here. If we close above here and stay above here, then gold is going to push even higher. Copper, you can see this just consolidating here below the 50, you know, just kind of chopping around, although we got a positive MACD. Volume was strong last week, positive. You got PPS buy signal, but value area high is at 393. So, you know, you got it's been just struggling here. As you can see it right here, this is a high, so it's just having a tough time. And now the 50 is coming down here on the weekly, so it'll be interesting to see how that's going to play out, resolve next week or in the next couple of months. Value area high on silver, 2474, struggling right there. Resistance level right there, 2516. And the linear regression channel up here. And you got a MACD crossover. Volume was negative last week, so interesting compared to gold. And, you can see that volume on Friday was strong, and you can see that the trend on the short term on the daily is still negative, like kind of below the mobile, kind of fighting around the 20 SMA. And we have platinum pretty strong, hit the value area high of 1112, so interesting to see. There's resistance up there if it's going to push higher and close above that, but volume was good. Last week, MACD is positive. MACD is positive here. Friday's volume was good. And this candle, it turned negative here, but it then turned positive, but the trend is still up. So you're above value area high on the daily, which is 1075. So it'll be interesting to see how next week goes for that. And platinum is the weakest of the metal. You can see right here, hanging around the value area low of 1747. Oh, MACD is positive, but value, last week's volume was pretty good. And it was chopping around back and forth. You can see this is just pretty much chop fest right here. But holding the value area low on the daily and on the weekly. So it's just, you know, consolidating back and forth until it either breaks down, continues going sideways, or gets a nice little bump. We're going to leave it off here. Hope you like this video, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on the energy and the metal sector using Market Recap Simple Glance System.